Hello and welcome, and for those of you new to this news video that we put on our channel every Saturday, let me just explain that I will kick off by giving you an update on all the news, everything that's been happening in Lanzarote over the last week, and at the end, and you should stay tuned for this, I'll tell you about 3 things happening on the island next week that I would do if you were here. But let's kick off talking about the weather, and well, it's kind of been one of those weeks where we've had pretty much everything, but the overriding thing all the way through it has been that it's been incredibly hot for the time of year. I'm talking 30 degrees plus during the days, falling only to 23, 24 at night. And I had the bizarre situation yesterday where I was filming Christmas lights in the evening in Puerto del Carmen, and it was still 27 degrees. I was sweating while filming all these snowflakes and things. But we also had some quite heavy rain last weekend. We've had a few spits and spots of rain during the week, but right now it's beautifully sunny and we've got lovely blue skies and it remains hot. In Playa Blanca, they actually had hail on Thursday, and that was the most bizarre situation because they had hail and 30 degrees at the same time. The forecast is for this very hot weather to stick with us through until Sunday or Monday, and then it will apparently cool down to more normal temperatures as the wind switches from a southerly to a northerly. So let's crack on with the news. The Monumento Campesino is coming back. And those of you who know the island well will know that this is the monument that Cesar Manrique designed that sits in the dead centre of the island at San Bartolome. And it was blown down about 6 months ago and has had to undergo a pretty major refurbishment. And that work is now almost complete. The CACT, which is the organisation that looks after these things, are saying that they hope it will be back in place on the roundabout before the end of this year, but it may slip over into January. But the good news is over the next couple of months or so, we should see that back where it's supposed to be, and it's an homage to the peasants of Lanzarote, the campesinos who worked the land here in the centuries before tourism in order to keep people's tables full of food. I was very pleased to see that a rental scammer has been arrested, and this is a 57-year-old lady who lives in Tenerife, one of the other Canary Islands, but she was running a rental scam where she would advertise properties for long-term rental, both here in Lanzarote and in Tenerife as well, and then take deposits from people and kind of just sort of disappear offline, presumably using fake or instantly made up email addresses. She took at least 5,000 euros. It could be more from people, and you know, it's a horrible crime, this, because it's relatively easy for them to do. They just copy a load of details from a real property on a website somewhere and then offer it to other people themselves, take the money and run. So I'm delighted to see that she has been arrested, and hopefully she'll get some prison time as a result of it. While we're talking about that, this particular one was a long-term rental scam, but there are plenty of people scamming on short-term rentals, on holiday lets as well, and they do exactly the same thing, often creating quite elaborate websites in order to draw people in to book holidays with them. And on a short-term rental, it's relatively easy to do, particularly if people are booking far ahead. So, you know, you put your fake property up on a website and say it's fully booked until March, so you know you're not going to take any bookings until from April onwards, and then you can pocket quite a lot of money over a few months period. So please be cautious out there, do a bit of research. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Look for odd names on properties. I saw one recently where all the properties had Greek names and they were supposedly in Lanzarote. They're not. These scammers, by the way, are not generally based in the Canary Islands or Lanzarote. They often come from Eastern Europe. If you're ever in doubt, feel free to email me the details and I'll have a look at it, and I can usually spot a fake relatively quickly. Great news for drivers of cars with petrol and diesel engines. The cost of fuel has come down here dramatically, about 17% over the last year. So the average price now of 95 octane gasoline is €1.16, and the average price of diesel is €1.15. So it's really good value for money for people who drive, as I say, petrol and diesel cars. Now, we had a bit of a cruise ship bonanza over the weekend. Last Friday and Saturday, we had 3 cruise ships in port on each of the 2 days. And that means around 17,000 passengers arrived on the island. Many of them will have taken excursions to all different parts of the island, and many more spent time in Arrecife, in the shops, bars and restaurants there. It's estimated by the tourism department that they spent about €2 million on the island over those 2 days. And bear in mind, cruise ship passengers don't use up the island's resources in terms of accommodation, water for showers and food and swimming pools and all those kind of things. So it's great business for Lanzarote, the cruise ship bonanza we're having at the moment. Now, if you're watching this on Saturday morning, there is still time for for you to arrange to go to the food festival in Teguise, which takes place Saturday and Sunday this week. It's organised by Saborea Lanzarote, and it's going to be the biggest and best ever of these. It's the 11th running of it, and it's expected that somewhere between 40 and 50,000 people will be attending. There are going to be 120 stalls there. 90 of them are restaurants on the island, 17 are wine bodegas on the island, and they will all be giving you the chance to try their food and try their drink and find out how they cook it and how they make it. So if you are on the island right now, it's a great thing to be doing this weekend. We're going to be there for sure. And talking of food, Lanzarote's cheesemakers have had another wonderful event at the World Cheese Awards, which were held this year in Portugal. They won 11 medals, and it never ceases to amaze me how we make fantastic cheese here, given that we don't have any pasture at all. We have very few cows, a few sheep and quite a lot of goats. But the cheesemakers just do an amazing job of turning out high quality product. Of those 11 medals, 6 of them were won by the cheesemakers at Finca de Uga in Uga. 3 were won by Queseria El Faro, and 2 were run by Queseria Montaña Blanca. So well done to them, and there really are some very good cheeses if you look out for them on the island. My personal feeling is that the sort of standard cheese you get in restaurants here, which is a relatively young goat's cheese, I find that a bit bland and I don't really enjoy it. But those 3 cheesemakers that I mentioned, Finca de Uga, Queseria El Faro and Queseria Montaña Blanca, all make a good strong cheese. They're called fuerte here. Ask for a fuerte cheese if you want a cheese with a bit of a kick, and they are absolutely delicious, and my favourites of them are the ones made with lamb's milk. Now, I mentioned in a bulletin a few weeks ago that quite a large team of people from Lanzarote went over to Valencia to help with the clear up from the floods over there, the flash floods that happened. There were firefighters, there were emergency services people. We sent drone operators and a canine team, and quite a lot of specialist equipment for pumping and clearing and cleaning. Well, that whole team had a sort of leaving party in Valencia last weekend, and they were thanked profusely by the people of that city, and went away with lots of presents and food and drink and drawings done by kids, and they've been returning to the island this week, and a special reception to thank them was held at the Cabildo. So good job to them, and they did a fantastic job representing Lanzarote and the rest of the Canary Islands over to help out with that tragedy on the mainland. Now, this is the point where I ask you, please, if you haven't already done so, to subscribe to our channel. If you like this video, please give us a like. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I always read every single one of them. If you've got a question in there, I will always try and answer it, and I can usually find the answer out for you. And finally, to thank you so much for watching these, but we've got lots more to come. I've got a few more news items for you, and then at the end I'm going to give you those 3 things you should be doing in Lanzarote next week. So next up, we've got a story of Binta Canarias. Binta are the regional airline that's best known for the little prop-driven ATR 72s that they fly between all the islands. And they're one of my favourite local companies. They are just, I suppose they're one of those companies that works in the old-fashioned way. So, for example, when you book a ticket with them, you don't then have to deal with loads of extras. You know, you book your ticket includes hand luggage, it includes selecting a seat, it includes hold luggage if you want it. On the shorter flights, you'll get a little chocky bar and a glass of water. On the longer flights, you'll get a meal. Well, they've added 2 new Embraer 195s to their fleet, and this, I think, brings their total of that aircraft type to about 8. And they're using this aircraft to do much longer haul. These aircraft to do much longer haul flights. So they're now offering flights to, for example, Madeira, to Marrakesh, other cities in Morocco, Cape Verde Islands, but also to the mainland, and that's why they're buying more of these aircraft, because they're now offering a service that rivals the Iberia, the Vueling and the Ryanair services that go to the mainland from the islands. And as I say, what I love about them is that when you book your ticket, you know the price is the price and everything's included. Now, about 6 months ago, I made a video in Costa Tiz, and one of the things I was saying was that I was really disappointed in the state of the palms down there. Looking at them, many were suffering from lack of water. Most hadn't been trimmed in years. Some looked diseased. There were leaves around the bases of them. There were some just, you know, dead trunks sticking up out of the ground, and it looked very sad. I'm very pleased to say that the Ayuntamiento of Tiz has now reacted to that, and they have a 6-month program which started last week, and I've seen the people doing the work that will rehabilitate the palm grove, as they call it, in Costa Tiz, and that will entail trimming them, treating the ones that have got disease, taking away the leaves, making sure the irrigation systems are working, and pulling down the ones that are just dead trunks. So well done to Tiz, and I look forward to seeing that whole palm grove down in Costa Tiz looking so much better. The palms here are a really important part of the island. I mean, they're not just decorative, and they're beautiful, but they also provide shade. But more importantly, they act as the lungs of the island, purifying the air and turning CO2 into oxygen. And finally, the growth in holiday homes on the island continues unabated as more and more people apply for the Vivienda Vacacional license in order to let their apartments and villas to holiday makers. We're now closing in on 40,000 beds in holiday homes. Yaitsa, which includes Playa Blanca, now has the most, 2,446 homes, which represents almost 24% of the complete housing stock in the area. Tias and Tiz are 12.5 and 6.3 as a comparison. So, you know, almost a quarter of all of the properties in Playa Blanca are now given over to or licensed for holiday letting, which I think is too high and should be addressed hopefully when the new letting law finishes going through the Canarian Parliament over the next month or so. Well, that brings our news to an end. Let's talk now about 3 things you should do next week if you are here on the island. And the first is the first of the Christmas markets opening on the island, and that is the one at Uga. And it's for 2 days only, so it's Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th. I mean, Uga is just a lovely place to go and visit anyway, so if you're on the island, get down there on Saturday and Sunday. As well as the Christmas market, they've got loads of activities going on. There's dances with elves, children's games, a bouncy castle, a surprise visit. I wonder who that will be. So yes, especially if you're here with kids, but even if you're not, get down and enjoy the Uga market on Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th. Next up, we're going to Monday the 25th, and I would suggest you go to the cinema in Arrecife. It's just a fantastic experience, and it's so ridiculously inexpensive here. Last time I went to a cinema in Northern Europe, I was shocked at how much it costs. The tickets for the cinema here cost €6, and the film showing on Monday in English language is Gladiator 2. And I would suggest you make a whole afternoon and evening of it. So go into Arrecife, enjoy the shops as they open up, go along to the cinema. They have all the sort of trimmings there in terms of popcorn and hot dogs and sweeties and those giant drinks. Enjoy the movie, and then afterwards when you come out, just walk around the Charco. There's any number of restaurants there where you'll get a fantastic evening meal, and it will just be a really nice day out for you with a good movie to watch as well. And then on Thursday, I'm checking the date, yep, Thursday the 28th, the annual Tinajo Bocata Tour starts. And this is just a brilliant event. And this runs from Thursday the 28th all the way through to December the 8th. So if you're not here next week, you can do this the week after and the week after that too. So let me explain how it all works. It's all the bars and restaurants in Tinajo put on a special bocata, special tapa, if you like, with a drink to go with it. So you can do a bit of a tapas crawl around them all, and they're only a few euros each, these. And you know, for example, you'll go into one and they'll serve you a mini hamburger and a glass of Asturian cider, and then maybe you'll go into another one and they'll serve you a particular wine that goes with the tortilla española or whatever it is they've made for you. It's just a really nice way to spend an evening walking from bar to bar in Tinajo, and you can enjoy the nativity display down there and the Christmas lights at the same time. You will also have the opportunity to vote for your favourite tapa in all of those restaurants, and that the winning restaurant then gets a prize at the end of it. Really nice event. We will certainly be doing that this year, but I don't know which date. We're not here when it opens on Thursday the 28th, unfortunately. Well, that's it. Another edition of the news done. We're travelling next week, but I will be doing a news video for you from somewhere in the world. You'll have to watch it next week to find out where we are. Thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate every single view we get. Don't forget, hit the like button if you've liked this video, and leave a comment or a question if you have one. Thanks once again, and bye for now.